just project the agenda for us, please?
Okay, just a moment.
Good morning, colleagues. I will keep my video on for the greetings and then I'll just switch it off. I just want to welcome you once more to our AGM, which is, I think, for our term, the last AGM. A warm welcome from us, the BEC, and I just want to also thank the branch for all their hard work and support for this branch to make it one of the flourishing branches in the LIASA sector. So without any further ado, I also want to give a warm welcome to all the directors who are here in our meeting, the national office, if there's someone here, or rather the EXCO and the national office. Also a warm welcome. And of course, the branch members. So I just want to say that I have requested the president to come to our meeting, especially with regard to restructuring. So if everyone is okay with that, he has a meeting, I think, about an hour's time. So we will give him the platform anytime he steps into the meeting so that he can just explain everything. And if there are questions, we take the questions, then we can continue with our meeting. Is that fine with everyone?
Yes. Yay.
Thank you. All right. So while we are waiting for him, I won't be able to see him, his attendance. So please just sensitize me when he's in, then we can stop and then he can start. And then Apelele, you'll project the presentation, his presentation, okay?
Yes, I will project it.
Thank you so much. Okay, on our item number 2, are there any apologies, Erna? Or anyone else who has an apology for us?
I don't have any apologies or any proxies.
Okay, thank you. And then, of course, you will get the attendance from the national office. Okay, in terms of determining the quorum, as I said earlier, we're supposed to be 25% at this meeting, which is 24. We are 23 at the moment, but we are safe according to the Constitution. What is the time now? After 30 minutes, the people who are in the meeting will be the quorum. So we have 5 minutes to go, Erna, am I correct?
Yes, actually 4 minutes according to my watch.
So we'll be a quorum. So, okay, but I think we'll continue. And then just to save time, thank you for those who came on time and apologize for waiting for people who were coming in or who didn't come at least. All right, in terms of personalia, is there anything that anybody can share with us? Graduations, weddings, babies, anyone? Nothing happened this year.
Yeah, we have 2 members who are no longer part of our branch because they have resigned. One is in Northwest, the other one KZN, Dudu Khadebe and Thomas Tell. Thank you.
Madam Chair, you are muted.
Oh, sorry. I'm talking to myself here. Thank you, Betsy. Anyone else? Okay. In the absence of that, we'll go to the setting of the agenda. Can you just move a little bit up, Erna? Sorry, down. Is it down? Yes. Up. Okay, so I would say the item for today that we would add, it will be the national office, or rather the president's, I don't know what to name it. Should I say restructuring?
President's message.
Pardon, Erna?
About just say President's message.
Yes. Is there anything else, colleagues, that you would like to add? I won't be able to see the hands, so please assist. Okay, so can we move for adoption of the agenda and seconder, please?
Matilda moves. And I see a hand from Jeanette. I'm not sure whether she wants to speak.
I
Thank you,
wanted to move for
Matilda.
adoption. Supported.
Thank you, Jeanette. Thank you, Matilda. Okay, so we'll go to the minutes of the AGM of 2022. Thank you, Erna. Colleagues, so it is 9 o'clock. So we are officially cooperating according to the Constitution, even if we are one short.
Sorry, just a moment.
Oh, I see now we are 24 exactly. a full quorum.
Yeah, but remember the one is Apalele, is not a member from our branch.
Oh, okay. So we're still 23. Okay, while we're waiting for the projection of the minutes, I think we probably have perused through them, all of us. I can start reading maybe. We had a welcome from the chairperson, and then in attendance, we had 27 participants who joined the AGM.
My computer is hanging. Sorry, my computer is hanging. I'm just going to try one.
Okay, and
Yeah, our president has joined us, so maybe after the minutes we can then acknowledge him. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, maybe we can move directly to the president. Welcome, Mr. President. And Apelele can project the presentation. Thank you for gracing us with your presence. And the question to you is, where are we now and where are we going?
Okay, thank you, Keho.
Thank you.
And good morning, everybody. My apologies for only joining you now, but when the EFF decides to march near your workplace, then everything else comes to a standstill. Again, my apologies for joining late. And thank you for having me here this morning. My task here is to specifically speak to restructuring, where we are, what is happening, and what the intention is going forward. So I've asked Apolele to project, and I'm just going to go through this. If you did attend the stakeholder meeting, you would know some of the detail, but not everybody could attend on the day. And the opportunity is here for you to ask questions if you have any, and just to kind of get everybody on the same page, hopefully. So without any further ado, so that's currently the way the structure looks. I think most of this, all of you know by now. If we look at what we aim to have in place, then if you can go to the next slide, Apolele. Then this should look familiar to all of you as well, is the proposal has always been and continues to be that, again, membership remains highest, but ExCo and RepCo is replaced by a board, that there be a secretariat. I'm not going to delve too much around the secretariat. Essentially, I think the most important aspect here is the board. Next slide, please. Okay, so again, as I said, I'm not going to delve too much into aspects of the secretariat, simply because it is something that needs to be delved into, something that must be dealt with. But right now, we're not in a position to really talk to it. It requires financial input, financial means that we currently don't have. And obviously that then speaks to, we need to grow membership, etc., to give effect to all of these. Next slide, please. Okay, so coming to the board, as I said, the ExCo and the RepCo would be replaced by a board. It will align, as we've always maintained, to principles of King 4. And in terms of principle 7, you will see on the slide, it recommends that boards should comprise of an appropriate balance of knowledge, of skills, experience, etc. And in essence, and I'll come to that shortly on the next slide, in essence, it's something that we lack in terms of what is required from us as a professional body. So it also says that the board should be elected by the membership, and we are proposing that the term of office is 3 years, but again, membership will eventually decide what that term of office should be. Next slide. Okay, so in terms of the actual board, we are proposing that it comprises 13 members. It will have representation from all the sectors, and there would be subcommittees that we would then have that would round out what the board actually does. It relates to things like finance, risk and governance, but that obviously isn't the only aspect of the board that we need to look at, but those are probably some of the most important things that needs to be part of the board. So if we go to the next slide, this is how we are proposing that the composition be made up. When it gets there. Next slide.
Let's give you a few seconds.
Okay. When Apaleli gets it up, what you will see there is what we are proposing is that there'll be a president, which is an elected position. There'll be a president-elect like we've always had. That would be an elected position. We're then proposing that there are 5 sector chairs, mainly looking at the public library sector, the higher education sector, the school library sector, the special library sector, and then LIS education as a sector. Those 5 positions would be elected positions. So as per normal, there would be an election, and members would actually then choose and elect people to serve them on the board in those positions. One thing I do want to say about those particular sectors as well is that it requires a change in how we capture membership. So remember, when you renew or you join at the moment, you say, I am a member of the Free State branch, and you have 2 options to join 2 interest groups of your choice. And currently that's how it is listed on the website. So when you go into your profile, you will see I'm a Free State branch member, I belong to PAC League, and I belong to RETIC, for example. In the way this will move forward is to change how you are allocated, if I have to use those words, when you join or renew. So instead of saying I belong to the Free State branch, it will say I belong to the higher education sector, or I belong to the public library sector. And therefore, based on those parameters, you would obviously then look at when somebody gets elected onto the board, it's from that sector that you are, and that's who you will vote for, in a sense, to be elected to that section or that sector. The LIASA office manager will obviously be part of the board as well. And then we are proposing to make up the 13 members. So at that point, there are 8 members, the additional 5 members. These are positions that we would then see appointments being made. So they're not elected positions, they are appointments. In the way the board would function when it is at an optimal level, there'd be a nominations committee. The nominations committee would look at the names put forward and then make a recommendation for people to be appointed to the board. And those 5 additional members would then be experts in required skills that we would identify and say, currently on the board, we do not have the following skills, and therefore these are the type of people we need on the board. In terms of governance substructures, this is what we will have as part of the board. There'd be an executive committee, a finance, audit and risk committee, a nomination committee, as I just referred to. There'd be a CPD committee, a professional body committee, and a community of practice committee. One of the things that we recognize, for those of you who were perhaps at the IGBIS meeting, that we recognize is that we need to make place in the new structure for sectors like, or interest groups like IGBIS, which is not about a particular sector, but is about a particular skill, is about a particular requirement in terms of our profession, that straddles across all of these sectors. And how do we actually make allowance for that? And that's something that we need to grapple with as well. On the next slide, the first 3 committees would be composed of board members, and the last 3 committees would be chaired by a board member. One of the reasons why we are focusing on the the restructuring, and specifically about the board, is that LIASA is the professional body. It is a status that is afforded to us by SAQA. It is renewed every 5 years, and in between the period of 5 years, there is a midterm report. In the last midterm report, which was done in 2022, we were found wanting on a couple of aspects. One of those aspects is governance. And it notes in the report to us that it is noted that we do not have a board in place, but for now that we have a representative council, and that's the structure in a sense that governs. But it does point to the fact that in terms of us having the status as a professional body, we do need to have the board in place. Why we are proposing what will come on the next couple of slides is that in 2024 is when the renewal of our professional body status is up for renewal. And in order to satisfy that, we would want to prefer to have the board in place so that it is not something that is noted in the report to us. It is important that we maintain professional body status, because I think we've always maintained that if we lose professional body status, it will be really difficult to get it back. It's something that we definitely do not want to do. And that's, I think, the most essential reason why we are putting on the table what we have proposed at the stakeholders meeting. So if we move to the next slide, this is what we are proposing, if you were not at that particular meeting. So we had a representative council meeting in May. Specifically, there was a focus on the restructuring process and the impact on the elections. An attorney was appointed to look at our constitution, what the new structure would be, and what needs to change in that constitution. In order to make constitutional changes, though, you need to notify members 2 months ahead of time. Because of the delays that has happened in terms of getting this document ready, we were not able to do that. And therefore, we are currently where we find ourselves. So if you move to the next slide, you'll see that that basically talks about what I have just said. So what we are proposing, that for this next AGM, which is scheduled in 2 weeks' time on the 12th, and as per the conditions of the Constitution and what it asks us to do, we are proposing that a portion of the AGM be adjourned. So if we move to the next slide, we are proposing specifically that the portion that deals with restructuring, constitutional changes in elections, be the portion that is adjourned. It is permissible in terms of our current constitution, according to Rule 3.9. And together with that, what that implies is that, if you go to the next bullet point, Kecho, is that it would give us time to then deal with the proposals made by the attorneys, that we would then be able to give a 2-month notice to members of what those constitutional changes would be. And as such, we are putting on the table in a motion, which can be seen on the website, that the 2023 elections for any positions, whether it's national branch or interest group, be postponed, save for the fact that, okay, and I should have changed the last sentence. Originally, what we were proposing is that the incoming branch and interest group chairs should take up their new positions. But we've slightly amended that in the motion. And if we go to the next slide, what we are proposing is that the current national elected ExCo, so we're talking about president, president-elect, a secretary, treasurer, and PRO remains in place to complete the restructuring process. from the stakeholder meeting and as proposed by members in that meeting, that those members of EXCO in the first bullet point will then be joined by an additional up to 5 members from the current representative council, and that we also add up to another 5 positions from ordinary members. And together, that structure will become the interim structure, or the interim council. What this interim council would then do, if we go to the next bullet point, is that it would prepare for the adjourned portion of the AGM. If we go to the next slide, you will see what they will also then be asked to do is, if this is accepted by members, that there'll be a special general meeting that we will work towards. It would mean that the new structure would take effect and the interim council would be dissolved. That interim council will conduct elections for the office bearers, for the board, as was indicated on the previous slides, and they will take office at the end of the SGM. And that the SGM will be held no later than 3 months after the adjourned portion of the AGM. So we're proposing that the adjourned portion of the AGM take place on the 28th of February 2024, or no later than the 28th of February 2024, and that the SGM should happen no later than 3 months after that. So we're talking about May 2024. So that's the motion in really a short summary. As I said, the entire motion is available on the website as part of the AGM documents, where people can go and read it. I do want to say as my last point, as it was pointed out in the stakeholders meeting, yes, we've made mistakes in terms of getting us to this point, and we acknowledge and we own those mistakes. Our intention has never been to put the association at risk, but there is a particular risk in this particular case, and therefore we do require members to engage with what the motion is proposing, to engage with what this implies in terms of where we go after this, and once considered all of those things, to then vote in terms of what we are putting on the table. I will end at that point. If there are then any questions, I am happy to respond to them, and I'll turn over to the chair again. Thanks, Kecho.
Thank you, Mr. President, for bringing that clarity, and I thank you also for the apology to the members. Also, the question was with regard to the interest groups, and like at the committee yesterday, like people were saying, what do we do now? Are we closing off? But I think with the explanation that you spoke about, the 15 people who will be on the board. So the question is, do we stay until the AGM, then we're done with the branches for now, when the meeting starts from the 12th? I think that was a question.
Okay. Okay. So in terms of, I think moving forward, until that SGM takes place and the new structure comes into being, I think nothing stops in a sense, because if we stop everything at the AGM in 2 weeks' time, for example, it means there's a vacuum. That's the interim council, but in essence, the work that actually gets done by branches and interest groups, to a lesser or greater extent. And I think certainly our intention is not necessarily for everything to end. So I think there's still work that needs to be done. I know it sounds really confusing, but if the intention has never been that on the day when a new structure comes into being, or people agree to it, that whatever was there before just comes to an end. That there will still be something that goes forward to get us to that point. So from where we are sitting, we are not saying that the branch and the interest group just stops on the 12th of October. When this, and if it is accepted, and this interim council comes into being, that we would still have to rely on structures in order to get the message out. This will take a lot of engagement, even if this gets accepted, and let's work on the premise that it does get accepted. It is going to take a lot of engagement with members. It is going to require a lot of feedback from members. And in order to do that, we would need the assistance of people working currently in branches, in interest groups, because I think that's who people are familiar with. And until this comes into being, there would still be that work that needs to be done.
Thank you. Colleagues, I'll open questions. I'll open up at least for 3 or 4 or 5 questions. Lastly, I just wanted to say, because I know some members said they would like to step off now because they've served their term and they have a lot of responsibilities and they're also tired, so others can come in. So that gives room for those who wants to be going off. I mean, our chair-elect will be taking over. Interest groups, some people will be going. So that will be leaving, so people can be co-opted, but it's not an election.
Yeah.
Am I correct?
Yeah,
Or
that is
whoever
correct,
raises
yes.
their hand. Okay.
That is correct. And I think we can't force people to continue something that they may be signed up for, now they're not willing to do it anymore. So I think that's also never been the intention. And I think, like you say, Kejo, it does give the opportunity for people to be co-opted into carrying the work forward until the new structure takes effect.
Okay, thank you. Colleagues, any questions for the president?
While people are thinking, can I also say that even if you don't have questions right now, because I know it is a lot to take in, but you think of something afterwards, please put your questions to us, either to myself or to the president-elect or any member of EXCO, or even your branch chair. I mean, luckily for you, Kejo's on EXCO. But please put the questions to us. I think it is important that you rather ask the questions. And as I said, if now is not the time that you can think of the question, please put the questions forward. It is important that we take all of this on board as well.
Thank you. I have hands. Erna and Ms. Vanda.
Thank you, Kejo. I just want to make practical reasons. I just want to make sure that I understand it. As a Free State branch BEC, are we then, in other words, going forward until there will be the new elected members, whatever, for the new structure? So Kejo as chair and Moses as a chair-elect and the rest of the BEC just carries on? Or is Kejo now stepping off and Moses is taking over then as chair-elect, and then we don't, as chair, and then we don't have a chair-elect because there's no elections yet? I just want to make sure about that. And the same instance then also on interest group level, like for instance, Leslie, the current convener, Free State convener of Leslie, is she now moving out, and the elected convener-elect, if there's something like that called, takes over from her? I just want to make sure about that. And if they are stepping down, at what time? Is it after the AGM on 12 October or when? Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Erna. So the expectation is that people would continue until the SGM. And I think, like Kejo says, there might be people who feel that, I've done my 2 years, I I cannot go further than this. I have other commitments, work commitments, etc., and therefore need to step back. Then it means that obviously we don't want to force people to do it. But as far as possible, whatever structures exist would continue the work until that SGM takes place in what we are proposing to be May of next year. And once that takes place, that's when everything that currently exists comes to an end. If, for example, for the work to continue, there's maybe not enough people, you would then have the option to co-opt people onto a committee if there's work that needs to continue. So a good example, a good example is ICBIS. There's a lot of work that they've put in, even from a Free State branch point of view. I mean, you've always all been there and you've put a lot of work into making your branch work. But there might be things that you have not finalized, you've not finished off, etc. You might want to continue with those things. And as I said, as that interim council, there's also going to be, I don't want to say an expectation, but there is going to be a need for us to also engage with people at the current structure level, to kind of engage with the broader membership, to get the message out, and to get feedback to us. So again, Adna, you understand correctly that it continues. It doesn't end at this AGM coming on the 12th of October, but what we envisage is that it would come to an end in May when that SGM does take place.
Ms. Vanda?
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Mr. President, and good morning, colleagues. We are so delighted to have you in our midst, Mr. President. My question, I just want clarity on the appointment of the board and of the secretariat. You mentioned that the secretariat position will have financial implications. However, when you talked about the appointment of the board, you didn't mention the financial implication. Does it mean the okay, no, I think you get me. So
yes, I get
please,
you.
can you please clarify in that case?
No, that's fine. So, and it's good that you point that out, and I maybe need to add it to the slides for whoever I'm going to talk to after this. Certainly, the intention is to convey to whoever comes onto the board that this is not a paid position. So it's not a board where we're going to pay people. The only person on that board that would be paid is the LIASA office manager, but that's because the person manages the office. Every other position on the board is a voluntary position. So there's no financial implication in terms of people coming onto the board, other than the fact that, like we've done with REPCO and EXCO, there's financial implications, for example, when we have meetings and you get together and everything else that goes along with that. But other than that, there's no money or financial implications attached to that. So I can assure you that that's not on the cards. And that's why I only spoke about financial things that need to be looked at in terms of the secretariat. And as I said, that's a long-term plan and commitment that we need to work towards. And therefore, I didn't go into it much right now. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you. Matilda?
I just need a bit of clarity. If this board now comes to existence, do I understand correctly that the branches is falling away? Because I don't understand how everything will work if the branches starts falling away.
Okay, so it has always, that's always been on the table, is that branches and interest groups would fall away, and that that the association would be sector driven. I know everybody doesn't necessarily agree with us, but from the last elections that took place, certainly up to that point, and I think the last elections kind of really proved it, where in many instances the branches are dysfunctional. I think the Free State is an exception to the rule, and let me be bold when I say that. And I think we need to acknowledge that as well. It's a structure that we've carried from the first day when LIASA came into existence. It was created in a certain way for a specific purpose and what was the conditions in the country at the time. But part of growing as an association, part of us being a professional body is also to acknowledge when something doesn't work anymore. And yes, I think there are pros and cons to whichever road we take, but it's always been on the table, and it has gone to an AGM. It has been accepted that that branches does fall away, and that's still the intention. Again, I think when we look at what the restructuring is proposing, it is not to say that what's coming in its place is going to be perfect, and that it's necessarily going to work from day one. I think we have to work towards it, and I think that moving forward, it's to constantly do a checkup and look at where are we actually achieving what we thought we would be doing, and if we're not, how do we actually bring changes to actually give effect to what is actually required. In terms of how we communicate, it really will be from a very much a central point of view. What we also hoping that would happen in this new structure is that, so if you look at how branches function, and geographically, one of the biggest stumbling blocks that has come to the fore is that the geographical spread of branches is just too wide. That you have a committee and the committee can't seem to get to everyone. There's also instances where just because somebody's in a branch somewhere, their closest group of libraries, for example, is actually in another branch. It's actually not in the branch that they're in. And therefore, it is what is being looked at is that it's not bound by geographical boundaries. And again, I think these are things that we are hoping will work itself out. But certainly that it's going to be more sector driven. And so a lot of the communication will come from the people elected into that sector position on the board. That would drive things, that would identify a program that would roll out to the entire sector, that would then be taken to various parts of the country, etc. But really driven from a sector point of view and not a branch point of view. And again, I think when we look at the last 2 years, when I look at where the greatest activity has taken place, it's certainly been at a sector level rather than a branch level. Again, it might not be the perfect solution, but that's what has been proposed, that is what has been accepted, and that's where we're moving towards.
Thank you very much. I think we'll take our last question. Ms. Betsy Eyster, thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good morning, President.
Morning, Betsy.
Mine is not necessarily a question, but maybe something that you and I, as members of ENTLIS, might want to address and make sure that the ENTLIS Act that is currently being ended talks to this structure, because I saw in one of your slides, there is a subcommittee of some sort that will be dealing with the professional development story. So you might want to make sure that the Act talks to what LIASA has in place. In as far as this,
Okay. No, it's a good point. Yeah, it's a good point to note, Betsy. It's something that I actually haven't thought about, or I think even Charlie's thought about. But thank you for bringing that to our attention. And yes, certainly, I think we need to look at everything that we have a relationship with or other bodies, and how do we then give effect to how they see LIASA and what is written in their documentation about us. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up, and certainly will be looked at. Yeah.
Thank you, Betsy. Thank you, Mr. President. As you said, that it doesn't end here. If there are any other things, burning matters that come up from members, they can just write to us or send us an email, forward it to you, or we can answer, as it's a continuous process, because our duty here is to build LIASA. We want to see it grow and go further. And if something doesn't work, we can't stick with it. We have to evolve and move and adapt. And thank you for gracing us with your presence to bring clarity. And then we'll share the presentation with everyone in our branch. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day further.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you very much, colleagues, for giving that time. We'll continue with our meeting. And Erna, if you can just share the minutes. Did you come right?
No, I didn't want to do anything while the president is speaking.
You can share them now. Okay, so while Erna is sharing, I was still on the minutes. Oh, there we go. Okay, so you can scroll up, Erna. Colleagues, so I think I was on point number 3, determining the quorum. And as you can see, that time it was 25%. Needed 19 attendees, okay. Okay, so I think I've skipped something here. Apologies. We need to look at the corrections first. Page 1. Page 2.
Okay, cool. On page 2, 7.3, there's just a spelling mistake.
Okay.
It says as received, then it says form instead of from.
7.3.
Yeah, the first sentence, it's approval annual financial statements. It says Ms. Mostert also submitted the 2021 annual financial statements as received, and it should just read from.
Thank you. Noted. Page 2. Can scroll up, Erna. Thank you. May we have a motion for adoption of the minutes? And proposer and adopter.
I propose.
Thank you, Carmen. Seconder, I can't see the hands. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Marsh. Okay. Okay, matters arising from the minutes. Is there anything that somebody wants to raise from there? We didn't put any points.
Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you going to provide feedback with regard to progress regarding the reading park?
Yes, I can provide. Or you can provide it, Chief.
Let me leave it to you, Chair, to handle it.
Okay. All right. With regard to the reading park, just see if it was on here.
Which point is that on
I
the
don't
on the
think it's
minutes?
on here.
Just mentioned under personalia.
Pardon, Betsy?
Under personalia, it's mentioned there.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. With regard to the reading park, we remember we had a successful launch of the reading park, and then we had somebody who was going to help us with a container, and it fell through because they had a bit of challenges. So then it stopped for a while, and then Betty also requested we apply, or rather she applied to what is this? Betty, remind me
Trust.
again. Sally Trust. Sorry, I almost said Sageless, so I was stuck. Sally Trust, yes. And then unfortunately we couldn't, it couldn't go through because we needed to have a tax, something to do with tax, which the national office did not have. But we have recently discovered that we can use the institution's tax number. So then we were contacted by one of our branch members, Carmen, also contact us with regard to this Rotary Club, that they said they had a bunch of books that they would like actually LIASA to get involved. And then I had one meeting with them just to find out what was it all about. And then it was now in 2022 and everything went quiet. And then they contacted this year again. I think they lost my numbers or something. So I couldn't get hold of them. Then they were able to get hold of Jeanette, and then then they said they have a container that they have that has been sponsored, but we need to, is there any ways that we can identify schools? Then we told them about our reading club or reading park launch. And then we mentioned the school, the nearby schools that we went to, that we'll be working with, but we're having a challenge of a container. And then they said, no, we are having a container coming, and it's also have a lot of books in it. So we would really appreciate to partner with you. And then, so that's the good news on our side. So we thought we'll bring it to the branch. If it's okay, then we can continue with them, and then we can start our liaising again as a team with this reading park, because I think it's a very excellent initiative, and they're bringing a lot of books coming through that were donated. It's reading books, but it's for primary schools. And we thought we would identify the school, nearby school where we went to have the launch at least 3 schools around there. Pahamisa, I think, and Mangaung and Bato School. So that's where we are at the moment. So we thought we bring it to the meeting, and then maybe Jeanette can just add, because everything happened so fast. We didn't want to miss the opportunity, and then we can continue from here.
Thank you. Thank you, Keho. The challenge will be because now they are going to get transport to deliver the container. They are planning to get containers for the province. They are going to give us 80,000 books. And then I said to them, we have furniture here. We could collaborate as the University of the Free State as well. We have some old furniture, so they shouldn't worry with furniture. We will donate our old furniture to the project as part of our Engage Scholarship program. However, we are saying as the branch, let's make it this initiative a branch initiative. So that's how far we are going. So they need, we have to also make sure that as the branch we assist in couriering of the books. They can courier the container, but now they also have a shipment of 80,000 books. So I think those 80,000, they can cover a number of libraries based on the containers. And again, that we have some old furniture here that we are, when we are, because we are revitalizing, then we can donate some furniture, because I think last month we donated old furniture to 6 schools in the Eastern Cape. We started as the University of the Free State. We started 6 school libraries in the Eastern Cape province, but now we are coming home. So let us make this a branch initiative. It shouldn't be, maybe colleagues should say maybe the UFS is taking. We are not taking lead. We are saying let us collaborate as stakeholders, as LIASA, as institutions, as municipalities and province, to make sure that we make our province a reading province. So this is, I must say, is an exciting initiative that I'm really looking forward to as a member of the Free State LIASA a branch. So for us, it's good news. It shows that our branch is really committed to growth and a reading culture. Thank you.
Can I add something? Sorry, I can't find my hand to put it up in the air. I've been looking at the screen for 10 minutes. I actually spoke to somebody from the Rotary Club last night. They're busy organizing a big event in November to get the funds to get that container here. So that is on track for them. They're busy organizing a big sporting event.
Thank you, Carmen.
All right.
Yes, I think they did mention that when we went to the meeting. That's part of their, so I think it's people that one can really partner with, and they also working with the local media, which is also good for the branch. They've released already an article towards that, and then they said the next article, they will release another one that follows up. So it will depend on us as a branch. If, as Jeanette has said, that we grab this, and we have started this as a branch, so we should continue, I think. Any comments, colleagues? Thank you.
Thank you so much, colleagues. Yo, this is a pleasing development. I'm happy. Jeanette, you don't have to apologize for anything. Any networks, any connections that make this possible, we are happy. So yeah. Keho, we forgot
Yes,
to
ma'am.
mention under personnel here that you have been appointed as an assistant director.
Oh, I forgot that. Thank you. Let's see. So, colleagues, are we agreeing we carrying on and seconded that?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Okay, so we are going to adopt, I've forgotten now when last ever I have meetings here. We are adopting the minutes as the correct reflection of the AGM of last year. And move for adoption.
We've already done that, Kehu. It was Carmen and I think Lashan.
Oh, I thought it was the agenda, sorry. Thank you very much. Matters of the day. Erna, you can just project the report. The presentation, thank you.
Yeah, I just want to make sure
Thank you. Colleagues, the report is quite cumbersome, so I just put some of these things on the presentation so that it's not, but the report is there, it will be shared. Can you put it on presentation, Erna? It will be shared with you, the presentation and the full report. Erna? Is Erna frozen? Erna, are you with me?
Chair, isn't there a way? Erna
Sorry,
can-
Kego, I have to go back to another screen to talk to you. I have put it on slideshow. Didn't it show the slideshow?
I want it on presentation mode. The
Yeah,
slides mustn't show on the side. Just
I
press
put it
that
on
last.
presentation. I did do it, but didn't it show on the screen, on your screen?
Okay, it is showing, but it's still showing the slides on the side.
Yeah, I've gone now back because I have it on the slideshow. When you're talking about, I must put it on slideshow. I've already done it on slideshow, so it didn't show slideshow.
It's fine. We'll continue. Everybody can see the presentation, right?
Yes, thank you, Kego.
Okay. All right. So in terms of leadership, that is our leadership. As we know, the SLASIC is vacant. Yeah, so I won't say much because of all the changes that will be taking place. In terms of the BEC, we had 3 BEC meetings with the dates reflected. We had 4 branch events and 6 interest groups. Our interest groups were quite busy this term. Thank you, Erna. The next slide. Okay. I am going to request our membership secretary. I know she's on the program. Maybe she can speak to these slides. She is ready. Zuki, over to you.
Good morning, colleagues. Thank you, Madam Chair. We would like to highlight that we are 96 paid up members as at 07 September 2023. Our institutional members, we have 4 members. For last year we were 3, so the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture has joined this year. Can we give that a round of applause, colleagues? We are growing. So that's the names of the institutions that are our members. We have about new 9 members from last year up to this AGM. We are joined by Mr. Jonito and Ms. Sulu from our previous meeting. Are they in the meeting now? I haven't seen the names unless they have, for instance, we have Samsung and the D, so I'm not sure if they are present, but according to the names reflecting, they are not in this meeting. As it was indicated by Mayor Esther that on Personalia, we have colleagues, all of them are from CUT, that they have left the branch. Mr. James has left the profession. So we have those members, but we are happy that they are still within the sector, Mr. Tsele and Ms. Stuto. We have noted growth On the institutional membership and individual membership, we also noted an increase for renewals between 10 July 2003 and 7 September. The total number of renewals, it's 22. Within that number, we have people that were lost among the years, maybe others stop renewing membership in 2018s and 19s, and they renewed again. We refer them to those old renewals, but we're also happy that we have 12 members that maybe this is their first or second time renewal. We have a term that is new renewals. We are happy that to see members renewing their membership. It is worthy to mention that last year in our AGM we were 74, and this year in this AGM we are 96. That deserves a round of applause, colleagues. Can we clap? Let me see emojis clapping, and we are happy for our growth. Next slide, slide 4, it just shows our interest groups. Though we know that in future we will have sectors, now we are still with interest group. The biggest that takes 39%, it's higher education. We have also noted a growth on Red League, 20% in our previous, it wasn't growing that much. We note that we have all interest groups except, though others are not represented national, but we still have them in Free State. The next slide will just reflect the growth, is graphicals of the growth that we have also mentioned. I do not want to take much time, Madam President, Madam Chair. I believe that our members see that we are working very hard to grow this branch, and we appreciate their engagement and always showing up and participating in the events that we have. I believe this is the last on the membership. The last slide.
Thank you very much, Suki. Yes, it's the last
Yes.
slide. And I want
Madam Chair, I would just like to mention something else, that on the chat box, we have posted the link to the national AGM motion that the president was referring to, so that members can engage further.
Yes,
Thank you, Madam
thank you.
Chair.
I saw it. Thank you very much, Zuki. And I also want to thank Nambita, as Zuki and Nambita, and together with the interest group conveners working hard on working on our membership. And I would ask us to give them a round of applause as well. Coming to advocacy, improving our visibility, we had a few branch events. As you can see, okay, we had our closing celebration, and also you will see it reflects the attendances as well, how our events were attended. And with this branch event, we were graced by Mayor Betsy and Nambita, our emerging librarian, and I just need to get my minutes, sorry. They graced us with their presence and to present the award that they received, and just to give us some pointers on leadership and the emerging librarian, also to talk about her journey. And we want to thank them that they're putting our branch on the map with that. And then there was a visit to OFM. Keeping this partnership and relationship helps us also as a branch whenever we want to knock on the door of media people, then they know as we are visible, then we are able to present our things on there about LIASA. And then, of course, we had our branch South African Library Week, which was attended quite well, different areas from the public libraries, Tabancho and Velcom and the Free State and other areas. So in attendance, there were 83 people. And then we had the legal deposit I would say a workshop, about 51 people in attendance. And our professional librarian status, CPD, which was also a big attendance. People from outside also came from other branches to attend. We had about 82 people. And then the OER was arranged by Helig. We had, I think, over 80 people. I don't have the exact number, but it was around that. And PECLIC that we have resuscitated, and thank you to Declare, who made herself available and raised her hand and said she will start it off. And I think this will also help as we move into the sectors that we already started something, that it will get active. PECLIC had put together a drama after hours that was done by the public library communities, young people. It was quite interesting that they did it inside the library. And then we had Mempumi from the University of Free State to speak about copyright, which was also in the form of a workshop. And then PECLIC also in September they had a panel discussion on youth and libraries. So you can see, colleagues, our branch is very active. Whenever we get a chance, you get a chance to attend. Thank you for attending. In terms of marketing, myself and the chair-elect, during the South African Library Week, we had the opportunity to speak at the local radio stations about LIASA and what South African Library stands for. I was at Motsweding and Moses was at Lesedi FM. So we spoke in our languages. And then I don't know why I put the coffee mugs next to this comment. It was supposed to be another line. Yes, and then the PRO also sent out 2 newsletters. She had a challenge about getting articles from the branch, which I think we are doing so much. Hence, we do not send articles. So it's one of the calls that she had to send out a newsletter. So we're hoping another one will come out before the end of the year. Thank you, Erna. Yes, as I say, our branch is very, very, very active. Sometimes it doesn't look like it. It looks like it's quiet, but you can see what's happening. These are the Free State members who contributed into the LIT. So LIASA in Touch. So those were the volumes from 2022 December. Those are our members who contributed into the LIT. You can see the first one there was Tebogo Makurubetsi. She wrote on the Generation X, intern librarians experience. You can still, if you haven't read them, you can still go to the LIASA in Touches and see, and go and look for these articles and read through them. And then I wrote on the Reading Park at Batu Township. And then Mr. Blosser wrote on the LIASA Free State Research Showcase. The next one was Dora, who wrote on the good, the bad, and the reality of electronic resources. Dina wrote on flying LIS flags high. And then the next one was Lashun, UFS Library at International Conference on Information Literacy. Teboho again wrote about advancing scholarship of information science. Mr. Mtorani wrote from novice to campus librarian. I like these topics, eh? Miss Betty Esther wrote about my powerful story as a leader. I remember it was one of our themes as well, 2023, telling powerful stories. And then Mapaseka wrote my powerful story as an information worker. And then the last slide, LIS Free State Visit to Radio. Erna wrote an article on that. Lashun also wrote about UFS Library Information Services Honors and Undergraduate Research Seminar. Zuki wrote my powerful story as a LIASA member, and also Central University of Technology promoting African languages through reading activities. Colleagues, I think we can give ourselves a round of applause. This is amazing. Don't you think? Yes, we were present in every issue. Isn't that amazing? Thank you, Lashun. So in terms of good governance, our cloud storage has been populated and it's up to date. I think so far we are actually a leading branch in this. The others are coming up. So whoever comes after us, they will just see, they will get all the information about to continue. They don't need to start from scratch about what's happening in the branch in terms of those sectors as well. In terms of training and development, those are our trainings, the workshops that we held. I tried to separate the workshops and the activities. So these are the workshops that took place, which was the legal deposit, the professional librarian, and the OER, both of them on CPD and copyright plagiarism. Thank you, Erna. Financials. To date, our branch received from national report. Our account is at 1,565.83 cents, and our investment account has grown from 35 to 37,567.47 cents. And then the challenges, we did have challenges with membership, but as you have seen the membership secretary reporting on our improvement. So it's really has changed from being a challenge. Okay, so these were the planned activities, targets that we had for ourselves, and I believe we've met almost all of them, except for the one that was highlighted that did not take place. We are left with the one of the 12th October Research Showcase, which we will communicate after what the president has said, whether we should continue with it or not. So the committee will communicate with you on that. We're thinking of having, if it happens, we will combine it with the 3rd of November, the end of year event. There was a suggestion from the committee because of the way we are scattered. Sometimes it's not fair that we're only meeting in one place and the other people come kilometers from outside just to come for 1 hour. So let's rather have a meeting online. And then that was the suggestion of the end of year event, but we can open it up for discussion. Yes, and those are our statistics for Facebook. Our PRO, because of a responsibility of Imagine Librarian, has been quite swamped. So some of the things Judy shared to share with the membership secretary. And those are our stats to date that she has sent me, where she has been very active, although on Facebook as well. And then lastly, I would like to thank the Free State BEC, the interest group conveners, the branch, for all your hard work to make, I believe, Free State branch the best, as you have also heard from the president. And I'll leave you with a quote saying, a person who never makes a mistake never tried anything new. So we can only learn as we try something new. You fail, as Albert Einstein did, and then we try again until we get it right. Thank you very much. Okay, I think when it comes to the matters of the day, thank you, Erna. I have reported on the 7.2. Erna, I'm not sure if the PRO put in an apology, or is she here?
No, I haven't received an apology for this meeting from her.
Okay. All right, so I have said a little bit about that, and then the secretary has reported. Lashin, I want to check if there's anything that you also want to add.
I'm fine, Chair. It's just that with the HELIC, I think there were many things happening at national level, which I'm part of as well. So I think many of the events were a collaborative effort between the national HELIC team and as the convener of the branch. So yeah, there were many activities happening over the year. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you. Leslie, Matilda.
Keiko, I just want to add, we as Lislig is a very small interest group. Currently, we only have 9 members, and therefore we still opted to have some of our meetings online via Zoom. And that really had great results for us, because our meeting with the topic legal deposit workshop, we had 51 members attending. And then for the copyright plagiarism meeting, we had 59 members. And if it wasn't for Zoom that we could still use, I'm sure we would never have reached that amount of people. So I think maybe for the time being, or until we know what happens, we might still use Zoom. And I also just want to thank the people who serves with me, because they came up with very good topics that we could discuss. And if we see the amount of people who have attended it, it really shows that these are topics that people take interest in. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, I think you are correct. Peklik, is the Clary here? Clary? You can see all the names. Okay, but I did give
Chairperson,
yes,
it looks like she's not here. I didn't see her as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Moses. As I did report about Peklik for a very short time that they started, I think they did a good job. So it's just for us to support and grow it. In terms of motions, there were no motions that came from the branch for the national AGM. As you are aware, there is a motion that is going forward to the national AGM, as the president alluded to. So we've come to the end of our meeting. I'm not sure if there's anyone who wants to say something, add something.
Yes, please, Chair.
Thank you, Betsy.
We have books that we have weeded, and would like to avail them to anybody who could be interested in the books. Just make contact with us, CUT. And then secondly, I don't know if colleagues have noted that there was a book fair. I think it's called Central Book Fair, something like that, arranged by Ntate Trevor Mukeani. I think we need to liaise with him and make sure that we are one and we support his program as well. Unfortunately, he invited Jeanette and I at the very last minute, so we could not grace, his event with our presence. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Betsy. We will probably also go for those books, for those projects that we are doing for the schools, for the book donation. And yes, with regard to that Central Book Fair, fortunately, we were able to meet with him, although you couldn't go. Our staff from the marketing team were able to go and put a stall there to promote the African language press. So we yes, and also one of our authors was invited, but unfortunately from the African language press, unfortunately couldn't go, just to talk about his new book. But yes, we are aware of it and we did attend. I think going forward we'll keep on going.
There's a hand from Jeanette.
You mute, somebody's muted. I think, Keko, you're muted.
Okay. Thank you, G. Over to you.
Yes, I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank the committee for the sterling work that you have done since November 2022 up to now. You have really made sure that our branch continues to be a shining star, and we want to congratulate you. I think on behalf of the branch, I want to take this opportunity to congratulate you on raising the flag as high as possible. However, my concerns is with regard to our submissions with Librarians of the Year. Did we make any submissions for Librarians of the Year? I mean, that is our spot as the Free State branch. However, I'm very, very happy of what we have achieved as the branch under your leadership, Keho. Thank you for steering this ship so well. Erna, for being a wonderful and amazing secretary, for sharing with us and updating us. Zuki, for that membership. Thank you so much that now we have seen growth from 74 to 96. Congratulations and well done. And Hesma for handling our finances so well. It's nice to still see that we still have 37,000 in our investment account. Maybe going forward, we need to have a project plan of how we are going to rent out our sound system, because I believe that we have procured the sound system, unless if I have my information incorrect. However, I just wanted to indicate that to the committee and what do they call them? Those extra members, Cornell and Nambita, the PRO, for everything that you have done as the branch committee. And if I haven't mentioned any member of the committee of the branch, I just want to say thank you. The interest groups, you have done so well. Keep the good work up, and we are encouraging new members to come on board to make sure that because now we are committed as a province. I mean, it's not even a surprise that our province always takes number one when it comes to matric result. I mean, we are contributing in our respective communities to make sure that we become the best province. So let us keep this up, and Betsy and I and possibly the provincial library director, we will continue to support where we can with resources and also release our staff to attend, because most of the time I think she and I have commitments. We cannot manage to attend all the meetings that are scheduled. But anyhow, we just want to say congratulations and well done. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. I also want to say thank you for the support. We are really blessed to have you and Betsy and all the other former leaders in the LIASA structure. So we really appreciate, we look up to you, and that encourages us and strengthens us, because we don't want to disappoint the branch. We're carrying on the baton. So I think going forward, we'll probably have a special meeting with the committee in terms of what the president has said, and then we can write a communication to the branch with regard to going forward in terms of not allowing the branch now to collapse. Yes, so I think we will do that. In terms of the project plan, I thank you for that suggestion, because we have written some guidelines with regard to the sound system. However, we had not rented it out yet, so we need a project plan for that, which it's an income for us that we can look at. Yes, and then in terms of nominations, I think call out went out. There were people that have been nominated by some people, but I haven't received any names yet for the branch. I know because this year has been very hectic for a lot of people, so yeah, that could be something that we have didn't pay attention on. But thank you very much for those words that you have given us. Is there anyone else before we go? Thank you, colleagues. We've come to the end of our meeting, and I wish you all the best at the conference, and those who are presenting. Let's fly that flag high for the branch, for the Free State. And I think they already know us by now, because every time they ask, hey, it's a Free State again. So we are leaving a mark wherever we go. So I wish you all the best, and yes, and a wonderful preparation for your presentations if you are presenting. However, we'll meet there as well at the conference for those that are going. And then, of course, we'll communicate about our last meeting of November. Thank you very much.